The VHS Files Podcast contains adult content, harsh language, and possible spoilers. Listener discretion is advised. This week is part 2 of us answering your questions. Welcome to the mini-sode. Welcome back, everyone, and this is part 2 of our listener questions episode. Grab some popcorn, sit back, and get ready to jump right in. We got another question here from our buddy Javier on Twitter.
Javier. Hello, Javier.
Jenny, do you want to read this one?
Yeah. What are your opinions on biopics, and what are your favorites? Mine are Walk the Line, Man on the Moon, The Doors, La Môme, to name a few. I don't know how to pronounce it, but that's what it looks like.
Javier is a good friend of mine, just like someone that I've met through social media. I've never met Javier face to face, but we've talked on Twitter quite a bit. I think Eric has actually talked to him quite a bit on Twitter as well.
We came across him in the early Letterboxd days. I
yes,
think is where that
which I've gotten back on Letterboxd lately. I'm digging it again. I got out of it for a while, but
I go to it as a resource all the time, but I haven't been logging anything, so I still use it. I just don't participate. I'm a lurker.
Yeah, Javier, I just know your name because Josh has talked about you over and over the years about movies. So.
Which, if Javier is listening, he's probably very much in disagreement with you about Halloween, Rob Zombie's Halloween. He defends that one too.
Oh yeah, I remember this conversation years ago. You saying, "Hey, I talked to a guy who thinks Rob Zombie." I was like, "Okay, well, I mean, he could be cool, but that is a negative." So sorry, Javier. Agree to disagree.
I have a little thing with biopics. So Jason and I probably relate to this. Like, biopics are generally a big music thing, like musicians and stuff like that. And Jason and I play music. I get very distracted in movies like that, especially something like Straight Outta Compton or Bohemian Rhapsody, where they're showing you like their process of writing We Will Rock You or Nothing But a G Thing. And the way you write music does not happen the way it does in biopics. And it takes me out of those movies so much that I can't enjoy them.
Yeah. I mean, I understand these people are great musicians, but even if you know how to play your instrument and you're trying to make music with multiple people, you're not going to go in there, hey, I got this idea, boom, boom, pa. And then next thing you know, you write this song and it's beautiful and perfect. Wrong. It takes weeks and months and maybe a year to write a great song. So, but I understand this filmmaking. They have to move you along.
I can find things to like in those movies, but those are the things that when I do watch those movies, it kind of takes me out of them and I don't enjoy them as much. Mm-hmm. I kind of have a little curveball here. The Social Network.
Drop just Facebook.
I don't know if you would call that a biopic.
Yeah,
because
I think you would.
I think that movie is so spectacular, and I could do an entire episode talking about that movie, which we may get to at some point in this show. Who knows? But that movie has grown on me since I saw it for the first time, and I think that movie is why I love David Fincher as much as I do. And I don't even care that what's happening in that movie isn't factual a lot of the time.
I would prefer that just be a fictional film.
True. Like
I feel like its connection to reality distracts me from enjoying it. But but that's again part of what you're talking about with the music stuff. I guess I'll jump on that, Josh, if you're about done. My point kind of dovetails on that, but go ahead.
Okay, well, I was just going to throw out there The Disaster Artist. Due to becoming friends with Nathan and watching The Room and finding some joy in watching that movie with him and people who really love that movie and seeing The Disaster Artist, it's very funny. Like, I'm not going to go out there and say it's like a great biopic by any means, but it's almost a mockumentary sort of style biopic. And I don't know, like I think it's a very fun watch, especially if you know The Room and you know the background behind it. It's pretty entertaining. So, but go ahead, Eric.
Oh, well, I was just going to say, I have kind of an issue with biopics too, mostly when the subject is a celebrity or a person that I'm very familiar with, which, of course happens a lot in a lot of these music ones. Right. And I just can't get into the movie because I'm constantly aware that the actor is doing like their version of that person, or like an impression of, and obviously you don't want it to feel like an impression,
right?
You want to embody that person. It's such a hard thing to do. It's a hard thing to ask, so like I'm not ragging on anyone in particular. It's almost not their fault. For me, it's just I get distracted by it.
Yeah.
But I do like biopics about characters that I don't really know much about, or figures from, long, further back in time that there's not a lot of footage of, that kind of stuff. I think that can be really interesting. But I'm not huge on biopics. A couple I liked recently. I liked I, Tonya.
Marrying the first idiot who says you're pretty. You fuck dumb. You don't marry dumb.
That was fun.
That was good.
And,
yeah, we went to the theater and saw that one.
Back in the day.
That's sad.
Yeah. Back in my day, we used to watch movies in a big room together. I don't know. Straight Outta Compton was pretty good, I guess. I don't know.
I enjoyed it, but not from how fast the fame comes.
Yeah, I mean, there are definitely aspects of it I like. I think the whole story with Eazy-E and all that stuff I think is compelling.
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah, I like all of that.
Yeah. And Ice Cube's son actually playing him in the movie. I think he did a great
job. Yeah, that's good.
Oh, yeah, he was really
uncanny
good.
How much they favor each other, man.
Yeah. Is Jenny's turn?
Sure. So my favorite is the classic Aaron Brockovich.
I'm smart, I'm hardworking, and I'll do anything, and I'm not leaving here without a job. Don't make me beg.
In a law firm, you may want to rethink your wardrobe a little.
Well, as long as I have one ass instead of two, I'll wear what I like, if that's all right with you.
Good movie. I just watched it the other day.
So good. Julia Roberts is amazing in that.
I didn't even think about that one.
And some others that are more recent that I have liked are Hidden Figures.
That's a good one.
And,
great movie.
Yeah, it's really good. And also The Imitation Game.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I almost said that one just a minute ago. Yeah, that's another one. And again, I don't know what that dude was like. So for me, it's just, I can just come in kind of clean without all these years of watching Ray Charles and then have to, or Muhammad Ali, and having to forget that that's somebody else, so
that's kind of why The Social Network works so well for me, is because like I don't know anything about coding and building websites and all of that kind of stuff. So I'm watching that, just enjoying the drama of it, where someone who actually codes and knows how that shit goes is probably going, this is so fucking stupid. Like
that's not how you do that.
Right. So I have no idea how that works. So it's easier for me to turn it off and enjoy a movie like that. Whereas because I'm so familiar with writing music and playing instruments, it's so blatantly obvious when that stuff is just forced or not really happening that it just bothers me.
I guess Amadeus would be another good one to throw out there.
I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, I saw it as a kid. I haven't seen it in a long time.
Jason, you got one?
Was that all Jenny's? I didn't know she was done.
That is all of mine. But in general, I do really enjoy biopics. Can I say Hamilton?
We knew she would.
Yeah, sure.
Sure.
I mean,
you just did.
You just did. We can't take it back. No, Josh, take it out and edit. We can't have it.
It's technically a movie.
Now it is
on Disney Plus. No. So yeah, there's just songs.
Mine's going all up, and I think Jenny liked this because I do like biopics of wide range of stuff, and there are a few musical ones I have listed here, but they were from when I was a child before I became a songwriter, musician, or whatever. But I thought you liked this one, Jenny. Remember the Titans?
Oh yeah,
it's a movie with Denzel Washington. That comes on TV. I can watch it because it's a great movie. It's about a lot of things still going on in the world. The story between people of different color trying to come together and do something together, and that's a great story. Always. A movie from when I was a kid, because my mom loved these movies, was the original Walking Tall movies that was based on the real life happenings of the sheriff in the town. He took over. The Rock made it. Right. They remade it, but the original one's not the Rock version, because my mom loved those movies, so we had to sit down every time it was on TV and watch it. So I'm just throwing it out there for my mom.
Yeah.
You bring up Walking Tall. There is a comic by Jason Aaron and Jason Latour called Southern Bastards.
Yep.
That is loosely based on that story. Mm-hmm. That is a great fucking comic. And if you want something to read,
did that just stop, Josh? Or
it did, dude. Like the story just stopped.
Yeah, I
don't even know if I read the last issue, but I was so into that damn story, dude, and it's so good. I hope they do finish it one day.
Yeah, and Jason, if you haven't read that one, you know, it's about a small town in Texas where high school football is like huge.
Yeah.
Well, that's a real thing.
Well, I know. I mean, yeah, like every Texas town, but you know, kind of like what is it, Friday Night Lights or
yeah,
Varsity Blues,
Varsity Blues, that kind of. So there's like this crazy football coach that's kind of like almost like the mob boss of the town.
Yeah,
it's
like they treat the football team and the coaches and the teachers and all the people in town. It's almost like the football stuff is an underground mob in that.
Yeah,
town.
It's like organized crime, and he uses the players as like his muscle, and it's pretty wild. And the art is very cool as well.
It sets the mood perfectly. The first page is a splash page in this comic, and it's just a dog on the side of a highway taking a shit. That should tell you everything you need to know about the story you're about to get into.
Well, that's a little different than the other movies I got here. A couple music movies that I love because I remember actually seeing these with my family. La Bamba.
Columbia Pictures presents La Bamba.
With the Richie Valens story.
I wrote that one down too.
Yep. The Buddy Holly story with Gary Busey. He did a great job as Buddy Holly, and those two movies kind of work together. Get a little bit Buddy Holly in there. Threw in there Lincoln, since we were talking about Daniel Day-Lewis. That was actually a pretty good movie about him doing.
I never saw it. Oddly
it's
enough,
not bad. I gave it a chance. I was like, not bad, because you know him. He's focused on he was Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah.
But I'm going to throw something new out there because I don't know if it's even out yet, but I've seen the trailers for it. And I really want to say it's called One Night in Miami. And it's supposed it's supposed to be the story of like Jim Brown, Malcolm X, Sam Cooke, and Muhammad Ali in a hotel room in this old hotel down in Miami. And they come together and just talk about everything that's going on in the world at that time. And I really want to see it.
Is it based on facts or is it a fictional story?
This is because I've actually seen, I think it was an ESPN story where they're talking about the hotel that they had this meeting in. So I believe it is supposed to be, because only people who know what happened in that room are those guys. Matter of fact, it says on the night of February 25th, 1964, they come together during the Civil Rights Movement. And I really want to see that movie.
It's directed by Regina King, who was just fantastic in the Watchmen show on HBO.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I like that. I mean, it's a great. I mean, I love Malcolm X with Denzel. That was a great movie.
That's another great example. Yeah,
I can watch that when it comes on. I mean, I just sometimes the perfect actor plays the character they were meant to do, and I think Denzel did Malcolm X perfect. I mean, some people might disagree, but that's I know I threw a few of them out there, but when y'all said biopics, I was like, oh, I got a few.
Gotcha.
So.
I got to go back and add one in.
Oh, okay.
Because y'all started talking about football.
Blindside?
Rudy.
Rudy.
Oh, my God.
I just saw Rudy for the first time very recently.
I love Rudy, too.
Y'all, I do not like football at all. I don't want to watch it. I don't want to hear it on the radio. I don't want to know about it.
I don't want to hear it on the radio. How old are you?
It's still a thing. Trust me.
I know it is on the radio.
It's still a thing.
It's still funny, though.
But I love a football movie.
Interesting.
You put some character development in there. And
take the sports out and put some drama in it, and Jay's right there.
I need drama.
You know what's funny? Is I love football and I don't like football movies generally.
You guys should get together. No, I'm just kidding.
Baseball movies are so much better than football movies, and I don't even like baseball.
Baseball.
Yeah. I mean,
like what?
Like what? Like Moneyball? Like
that was a good movie.
Like what's the one with
A League of Their Own, which is
League of Their Own. Thank you.
That one is good.
Field of Dreams. I mean, the list goes on. There's a million of them. Sandlot. Come on.
Josh is like, y'all talk about sports ball here. I don't care.
I just wanted to say,
I was thinking about football movies where like they're actually like a team and playing. So like Field of Dreams isn't like that.
I like Remember the Titans. That's a good one. I like Waterboy. I mean, there's not a lot of great ones.
Come on, I know you like Varsity Blues. Come on, man.
I've never seen Field of Dreams, so I can't comment on that.
What?
Oh
We're
my
gonna
god!
have to do it on the podcast.
Oh my god! Oh my god! I
Stay
apologize for Josh's.
So, what was Javier's question? List every biopic.
Yes.
I'm
Thanks
sure
for
there's
good
more.
question, Javier. Thank you.
Can't remember.
Yes.
So our next one comes from @RobCaddy1 on Twitter, and he asked, or he has a statement, but he also asked a question. My mom policed the videos we rented from Blockbuster, but occasionally I was able to slip one by her that I had no business watching at that age. Did you experience the same? Can you remember any specific movies you got away with? Who wants to go with this one? Jason?
I got a quick one. Let's say I didn't get mine at Blockbuster, and this might kind of tie into another question of where we get movies. But we had a little rental place here. It's called Video Junction. We'd go in there. Of course, I know I've told the story 100 times, the Transformers the movie thing, but the one and it's actually an anime, Vampire Hunter D. Children do not need to be watching that movie. I don't know if any of the other three of you guys have ever seen the Vampire Hunter D, but as a young age, it's got nudity.
Yeah, I mean, I remember stumbling into Ninja Scrolls at a younger age than I probably should have.
Yeah, that was the movie after, because my mom thinks it's a cartoon. It's like Transformers the movie. I'll let him rent it, and I'm in there watching it, and she walks by. What the hell? I mean, because there's a scene where the main heroine of the cartoon is like fully nude, trying to make out with Hunter D guy. So it's just like, okay, but she just let it slide. She's like, "Oh, you've seen worse than that on HBO when you flip through." So she just kind of let it slide. But at first I thought I was going to get, whoa, but she was cool. Mom was cool. But yeah, mom was Vampire Hunter D. I snuck that by her the first time.
Nice.
Eric, you have anything in particular?
Yeah. I didn't really sneak anything, but I went to a sleepover once, and I was, I think 11 or 12, and they put The Exorcist on.
Oh.
And you have to put in perspective. I was raised going to church as well, so I had never seen anything like this, and some of the stuff that Reagan says and does in that movie hit me like a freaking wrecking ball. It was just like, whoa, what am I watching? I mean, it overwhelmed. Yeah, it's just like, I am in bad shape here. And I actually went home. I was like, I don't think I finished the movie. I asked my dad to pick me up. I wasn't that far from home anyway. So
like, it gave you anxiety. Like, you just wanted to go home.
I was like, this is wrong. I gotta leave. And
1,000 Hail Marys.
Yeah, I actually went home, but I really like that movie now, and I think it's a great movie, and I don't find it particularly scary anymore. But I'm grown up now. So
I know a lot of people adults who find it still scary.
Yeah, I mean, if you're really spiritual, then it's going to get to you. And I'm not super religious these days, so
yeah, especially
I just watch it like a movie, and it's a great film. But yeah, that's mine. Go ahead. Who's next? Jenny?
Good one, Eric.
I didn't get away with much when I was younger. The closest I can think is I had a friend in middle school, and she lived close to an independent video store, and I would stay the night with her, pretty frequently, and she liked to rent like B horror movies.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think I would have been allowed to watch those because they usually had a lot of nudity in them. Just so I specifically remember April Fool's Day was one that we rented. And I think that that's how she got me to watch a horror movie, is because it was all pretend.
Mm-hmm.
That's a cool little trick to play on somebody right there. If you've seen April Fool's Day, I mean, the name of the movie explains it all, but that's kind of clever. I like that.
And I was like, okay.
I get it.
But I can specifically remember not getting away with renting a movie. Yeah, I don't really know how it came about, but I somehow rented Boogie Nights.
Dirk Diggler.
And I mean, I was probably late middle school, maybe early high school when it came out, and everybody was talking about it, and I didn't even really know that it was about porn.
What's this about disco dancing?
I heard it was a good
this.
movie. Yeah, and I rented it, and then my parents saw it, and they said, "You're not allowed to rent this. We're going to take it back and get you a different movie."
Oh, come on. I mean, Roller Girl, she's innocent. She's just trying to make ends.
and the movie that I watched instead was At First Sight with Mira Sorvino and Val Kilmer, which I remember nothing about, except it was not Boogie Nights.
Yeah, it's not that great movie.
Except it was not Dirk Diggler's 13-inch penis.
It was not.
Very true. Very true.
We've talked about it so much on all of our shows thus far, but Jason and our parents didn't police our movies that much.
Thanks, Mom.
Yeah, but I did spend a lot of time with my cousin on the weekends and after school during the weekdays and stuff like that. And I remember that being a lot of the times when we would watch movies. And normally, like a Friday night would be, she would come pick me up. I would spend the night at my cousin's house. We'd go rent a movie and get a pizza or whatever and go, exactly what we stated in the beginning of our normal music, like pizza movie night. And I was really into horror movies, but whenever I was with him, we always had to keep it PG or PG-13, whatever. And somehow Jason Goes to Hell had come out and I had not seen it. And being such a big Friday the 13th fan, I was like, this is my opportunity to watch this movie. And somehow I convinced my cousin, who was not a big horror movie fan, and my aunt to rent this movie. And I don't know if she really, I don't know how she didn't know that Jason Goes to Hell was what it was, but
yeah. It's my biopic.
Right. And we're watching this movie and it's a terrible movie. I was very disappointed from the moment the movie starts, basically. Yes. But I will say that particular movie has a couple of the best kills in that series.
Yes, I agree.
And I remember watching that movie with my cousin in his room, and like there's a particular scene where there is a couple full on having sex in a tent, nudity, everything, and she gets stabbed like with a street sign or some shit like that, and they pull this bar through her torso and she splits in half and is like flayed, spraying blood everywhere. And I couldn't help but think, God, if my aunt walks in here and sees us watching this at any moment, she's gonna beat our ass. And so that was an instance where I was like, holy shit, I can't believe we got away with this one. Basic Instinct was a big thing. Like my mom trying to make sure I was not going to see Basic Instinct. And obviously I saw it. I do remember my mom, she did not want me to see Wayne's World. Like she fought like.
What is it?
It's a gun rack.
A gun rack? A gun rack. Yeah, right. I don't even own a gun, let alone many guns that would necessitate an entire rack. What am I gonna do with a gun rack?
You don't like it? Fine.
Like I would argue with her wanting to watch Wayne's World, and she did not want me to watch it for some reason. I don't know if it's because she just did not like the skit or Mike Myers or what it was, but like I remember it being a fight to be able to watch Wayne's World. And finally, when I did, I was like, what was the big deal?
Yeah, she was okay with one Michael Myers, but not another.
Yeah. I mean, the wrong one.
Yeah, one Myers. We get one Myers.
So, Eric, I think I took your turn in reading a question. So do you want to read the next one?
Yeah. This one's from at Still Up All Night Podcast. Which do you prefer, the big chains a la Blockbuster and Hollywood Video or the mom and pop shops? While the selection might not have been as expansive, my fondest memories are the obscure finds from hours spent in the mom and pop video stores in suburban Chicago.
Thank you, Still Up All Night podcast. I actually checked out one of their episodes where they talked about Can't Buy Me Love, I think.
Oh, okay.
And
I like that one.
They just featured the movies that would have been on USA's Up All Night, which I think is a cool little concept. So.
That is cool because I watched a lot of
That's
Rhonda
good.
Shear.
Yeah,
Rhonda
that's
Shear was hot back then on Up All Night.
Yep.
Hi, I'm Rhonda Shear. I'm your new USA Up All Night girl, and I use the term loosely.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'll start us off. Yeah, I agree. The mom and pop shops were great, and it's funny. I feel like the only way to get a little taste of that sometimes is to go into pawn shops that have a lot of movies. Sometimes,
Yes,
and it gives you a similar vibe because they're usually locally owned. It's not some corporate, chain type thing. And I've mentioned before, a friend of mine, we had a shop that we rented at that was closer to my house, but my friend worked at a video rental store, and he would get, that's kind of a big part of where I got into movies.
Yeah.
And he would get screener copies of movies that weren't out yet, so we'd watch the screener copies ahead of time. We got to just he would close for the night, so I'd go there, meet him, and we just pick out whatever movies we want. You didn't have to pay for them. It was amazing. And you get, when you're doing that, you can try movies you wouldn't normally watch. You can take risks and watch some interesting
I remember
stuff.
having a friend who worked at Movie Gallery, and it was like if it was the week that a movie was coming out, they already had it there and they could take it with them to watch or whatever. So like if you had a friend who worked at Movie Gallery, you were watching Terminator 2 a week before everybody else was. Like it was, I remember that being a big thing.
Those are good friends to have.
Definitely.
How about you, Jason?
I mentioned it earlier in the last question. Growing up in a really small town at one time, we had a Brookshire Brothers, which is a grocery store. They had a little video rental place. And we had one other called Video Junction, which I just mentioned. Brookshire's was kind of like our version of having a Blockbuster. They only carried the mainstream movies, stuff that they know that they were going to rent, 20 copies of that night. Well, at Video Junction, I'd gone in there so much as a kid. I mean, we rented our Nintendos there for the weekends. But I was always in the horror section. And of course, I think I ruined his version of Transformers the movie because I rented it too much because he only had one copy. Y'all remember the movie Brain Scan?
Yeah. Edward Furlong.
Yeah. Dude, I remember it was coming out and I was like, dude, I want to see this movie. And he was only getting one copy. Ooh. And he's like, I can only get one. I mean, he's a struggling video store owner. That's all he did. He didn't have a bunch. I mean, he had stuff like Zombie and all these other movies that like that other place didn't carry, obscure horror. But I really wanted to watch Brain Scan. So I think one of the movies come out on Tuesdays back then, just like anything else.
Yeah, I think it was new releases were on Tuesdays.
Yeah, I was on there. I came in, I think it was on a Saturday, and I was talking to it. And when we rented some movies, and when I picked the bag up to leave, he tapped on the bag, and I'm like, what's going on? I got home. He let me have Brain Scan early. I got to watch it on the weekend instead of having to wait till Tuesday because my mom wasn't too big on us watching movies on school nights. Yeah. So he actually slid it in the bag, and I got to watch Brain Scan on a Saturday instead of having to wait all the way till Tuesday. But he hooked me up because I put money in his pocket every week.
Yeah.
Well, that's the cool thing about a mom and pop is you develop a relationship with these people, and that gets kind of removed when you have a chain. Also, I remember the late fees were way lower. And oftentimes the prices were way lower at the mom and pops. You get a late fee at Blockbuster and they break you over the coals.
That was a cool thing to get, is just somebody to do that for you, because he would always hook me up with like a list. Hey, these are upcoming movies. Maybe you haven't seen the trailer, because we didn't have internet back then.
Yeah.
So you only saw trailers for whatever. Matter of fact, I saw Brain Scan on at the beginning of another movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Type stuff. And he would always, hey, this is coming out. Do you want this? And he'd check and he'd say, let me see if I can get it. Kudos to that guy. He was awesome.
Jenny and I were not exclusive. I mean, we would go to a Blockbuster, Movie Gallery, like any kind of like Hollywood video.
We would rent to whoever would let us.
That's right. Y'all had no standards whatsoever.
They were movie sluts.
We would go wherever we needed to go to find the movie we wanted to watch. It really kind of culminated when we moved to Virginia. Mm-hmm. And we lived in a small little downtown area by the name of Ghent. It was one of those areas where like we lived in an apartment building and you walked around everywhere, and there was right in the middle of the downtown area was narrow expanded cinema.
Yeah.
Narrow jingle. Hey, do you have Clerks? Yeah, we have that. Do you have Gilda? Yeah. Do you have Casablanca? Yeah, sure. Do you have Lord of the Rings? Mm-hmm. Do you have Doctor Strangelove? Yeah, right here. Do you have Breakin'? Uh-huh. Do you have Breakin' 2? Electric Boogaloo? We got it. Do you have I don't know. Do you have the Garbage Pail Kids movie? Uh-huh. Do you have The Devil's Backbone? Yeah, we got that too. Do you have... Oh, god damn it. What about porn? No, we don't have porn. Ah!
And it was a movie lover's dream to go into that place. And we've talked about it briefly on the show before, but it was such a unique experience going to that place. And it was an experience you did not get going to Blockbuster or Movie Gallery. There was always a guy there that had his little bull terrier behind the counter. If you brought your dog in, they would give you treats to give to your dogs.
And they got to know you, and they knew your dogs. And
it was one of those where, like, if they saw you renting a movie, they were like, oh, if you like this, you might want to check this out next time. You could go, they had, and when I say they probably had any movie you could ever want, I am not kidding.
Wow.
They had rooms of movies. And I've posted some pictures on our social media recently when I was asking people if they had any questions for us. Some of the pictures of the video store that I was posting was from the Narrow Expanded Cinema. And we had a great little place there. And they did this unique thing where you could buy a block. So they didn't have a computer system or anything like that. It was all on paper. They had you filed in alphabetical order, and they would pull your card out, and it was almost like when you would go to Subway, and every time it was like a punch thing. And you could buy a block of 10, and they would have sales where you could get a block of 20 for the price of 10 and shit like that. So, and it was one of those things where you didn't get a membership card or anything like that. You went in, you told them your name, they pulled your card, and they would mark off however many movies you took that day. And if you had 20 movies, you could go into the Narrow and take 20 movies with you that day. Like I think they did have a limit of how many days you could have it out, but it was like, yeah, I mean, like if you had the movies available on your card, you could rent however many you wanted. And it was a great little place. I miss it so much. If there's anything from Virginia that I miss, it's the Narrow.
Yeah, I do as well. I mean, that place was, if you wanted to rent a movie that wasn't like a new release, you had to ask them where it was, because things weren't just in alphabetical order.
No.
And it wasn't just genre, like horror or romance. It was all sub-genres.
Yeah, they had
like
music sections.
My favorite was teen angst.
Yeah.
I'll be the teen angst section, please.
Yeah. And we got to see a lot of like music documentaries and things that we didn't know existed.
We would not be fans of Wilco if it wasn't for that. If it weren't for the Narrow, we would never have seen Jeff Tweedy, saw Wilco, have a love for that band. So, yeah, I mean, it was a great place, and I'm sad that it unfortunately did close. I mean, the new digital age did get the best of it, and even with being in a central place like that, they couldn't keep it alive. But they donated all their movies to the local college, so you can go to their library and rent the movies. So I was so... like, it hit me in the heart when I heard that they did that. And I was like, God damn, that's really fucking cool.
Yeah, that's pretty badass.
But, yeah, I mean, we prefer the mom and pop to support, and especially something like that. But I mean, if we want a movie, we're going to go wherever we can to find it. In most situations, that's how we were. Yeah. Because even with having the Narrow there was a Blockbuster another block down the road.
There was.
And if we wanted a newer movie and the Narrow didn't have it, I would go down to Blockbuster.
Unfortunately.
So we were definitely not exclusive to anyone, but I mean, the Narrow was something special. Jason, you want to take us out with this last question?
Ooh, I get the last question. Okay, alrighty. Let's see. This is at Jesse Deschamps, or he's the champ. One of the two.
Jesse's Deschamps.
He's Jesse Deschamps. Yes,
or she.
Okay, or he or she. Yeah, it's true. sorry if we mispronounced that, but I'd like to know if any of you hung on to your VHS collections, and if so, do you ever watch movies that way? Your podcast got me to hook up my old VCR, watch Pan and Scan Planet of the Apes last night. Yes, I actually have a VCR hooked up to another TV. I know Josh has one of those TV VCR combos. And,
actually, if you look behind me in the camera, there's the TV with a VCR built into it right behind me.
But yes, I have actually held on to all the VHS tapes I've ever had. That'd be like the Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street, all those. I have a lot of music VHS, the Metallica Binge and Purge, the Pantera home videos.
I just found my box full of those today as we were getting ready to pack up stuff, and I posted a picture of it on my Instagram. I was like, holy shit, I just found a box of treasure.
Yeah, I mean, when we started doing this, I mean, I've kept them for years. I don't never throw them. I still even have all my old CDs. When we started doing this, I started pulling it all back out. You know, I'm going to hook up my VCR and got it hooked up. And I've watched a few movies just on that. Like I watched Halloween on it to get that real old school feeling during Halloween. I did that. But I keep my whole collection. I don't ever throw anything away. You can ask Josh. Every time I move somewhere, I got boxes. So, but yeah, good question. And yes, I do watch them, and we love our VHS collections.
Eric, I know you recently have gotten into collecting, so I don't know if you have anything that you've kept from your teenage years or anything like that.
I have a VCR, and I have some VHS tapes, but they're mostly home videos and things like that. Although they are sometimes recorded over things that had been recorded off of television and stuff. So it'll be like, oh, here's me and my 7th birthday. And then it switches to like, commercials,
switches over to Boogie Night. Switches over to Boogie Night.
Daddy, and like saying hi to the camera. And then all of a sudden it's like next Friday on NBC. So no, I don't have any movies on. I finally got rid of my CDs as well.
I just found I have 2 binders full of CDs that I found as we were packing up too. So yeah, I'm unearthing all of this stuff as well. Jenny and I have moved all of our stuff around for 21 years. And I mean, we have a few things that I know that we've held on to. Like I think the Back to the Future VHS that I have is the one that I've had for a really long time. That's really the only one that I've kept. I mean, I think we have a couple of tapes where we dubbed stuff on and whatnot. But since we got into doing this show, I've kind of like started going to Goodwill and buying 25-cent VHS tapes. And I love going back, and especially when we decided we were going to do this podcast, I was, getting everything set up and ready to start doing it. And I wanted to have some kind of a little set in here that if we potentially ever get any of our stuff up on YouTube, that it would be a nice little background for us. And that could still potentially happen when we get to where we're going. But I have quite a few VHS now again. And but I'm definitely one that I filter. Like if I have something and I'm not using it and haven't used it for a while, I usually tend to get rid of it. So I don't really have a whole lot of anything from my childhood, but I do have one VHS that is sentimental to me, and it's not from my childhood, but it is something that was a big part of my childhood. I also posted a picture of it on Instagram today, is Michael Jackson's The Making of Thriller.
Welcome to The Making of Thriller.
Oh, yeah.
When I was a kid, that was something else. And I just talked about this on Not a Bomb podcast. You can't watch it anywhere now. I mean, I think you can watch it on YouTube, but it's not exactly the same. But this is the one thing that I have a copy of that I know you can't get in any other physical form. And it's like, that's the sole reason I keep a VCR in my house is because sometimes I get the hankering to want to watch Michael Jackson's The Making of Thriller. It's one of those things that I just have so much nostalgia for that I can't get rid of it and have to have a way to watch it. And I cherish that thing to this day. I still watch it in awe nowadays. And like the Rick Baker makeup that they go through in that, and the sets that they did and all of that. That thing is just something amazing to me. So that's the one that's near and dear to my heart. And like I said, I just found a box full of old music VHS tapes, and some of that stuff you can't even get on DVD or anything now. So
you don't keep the VCR to watch our wedding video?
Our wedding video is here somewhere, but I don't think I've watched it since we got it.
We have not watched it.
We need to release it on Twitter.
can Josh get the 4K version of your do they have a Scream Factory or a Shout Factory?
We pop it in the VCR and I'm like, I can't watch this. It's not 4K. Turn it off.
Turn it off. Is it a Criterion?
I think I have my original Little Mermaid VHS.
Cha-ching.
And I don't know if it's here or if it's still somewhere with my parents, but I had it. And I would not have gotten rid of it because I was still very much a Disney nerd in high school and college, so I would have not disposed of it.
In college and now.
It's probably with my Winnie the Pooh VHS.
I think the Winnie the Pooh VHS is with all the stuff here. I think I've seen it recently. So yeah, we've got
to be here somewhere.
Those old clamshell cases. That's just the nostalgia in itself. Doesn't matter what movie it is. It's just that style of case is shit you don't see nowadays. You know, unless you're in a Goodwill, then they're everywhere. But well, that's all of our questions.
We did it.
That was fun.
That was fun.
We answered them all.
Thanks for the questions, everybody.
Yes,
thank you so much. So much. And we want to do this again. And we'd like to do this every so often to kind of, if you guys have any questions for us as you listen and you learn things about us, if you have any questions that you'd like us to answer, please send them in. We are happy to interact with everybody. And until the next time, we will see you and be kind. Rewind.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. The mini-sode is ending.
It's over.
Get the fuck up.
You've been listening to the VHS Files Podcast mini-sode. If you have any questions, comments, movie suggestions, or games you would like to hear on an episode, please drop us an email at vhsfilespodcast@gmail.com. Interact with us on all social media outlets at VHS Files Podcast. We release new episodes every Friday. Please drop us a rating and a review wherever you get your podcast. Thanks for listening.
Who's giving me the good time tonight? All right, Josh, do your thing.
The blowjob was fine.
Yes. Oh my God. Oh, that's making my eyes water, guys.
Can't watch this. It's not 4K. Turn it off.
Seriously, it was.
Oh, bullshit.
Right. Where were we? I forgot.
Well, what about Dude Face Bro? Our amazing idea that Eric didn't want any part of.
Hey, I kind of chuckled at myself.
That was a good one, Bob.